I am very excited to announce one final speaker, Devshree Golecha. She's the Vice President of Data Analytics and Engineering at TDECU. She started her journey from a door-to-door salesperson in India, identifying as a housewife in the US after that, and then to the senior most data leader in one of the largest credit unions in the US. She has been recognized as the 40 under 40 honoree by the Houston Business Journal and the CDC magazine in 2022 as well, and named one of leading academic data leaders in 2022 and one of the global data power women by Chief Data Officer magazine. Her session right away is talking about having a non-tech background and moving that into a career in technology. And so I know many of us here too might have come from that background or know people who have. And so really encouraging and empowering women who may not have technical degrees, but are building this career in technology. So without further ado, Devshree, welcome to the stage. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
You sound fantastic. Yes. So I will hand it right over to you as our last speaker of the Inspire Summit today.
Okay. That's a lot of pressure.
No, you're fantastic.
Yeah, so first of all, I do want to thank Anna for inviting. I really appreciate it, and so much inspiration for her to found this amazing organization, a platform that provides women an opportunity to, share their, their journey, and then most of all, I mean, we need women for women, right? And that's where I think Anna plays a very important role. Recognizing the achievements of women, across the tech industry. So thank you so much, and kudos to you for doing that. I was thinking that should I generally, when I speak at any conference, whether in person or online, have a slide deck, and then I like to present, but I think this is like maybe for the first time where I thought that I'm not going to really share anything, and I'm just going to keep it natural. And sometimes, the best thing to do is to have a conversation, and that's what I think I'm going to do today. So just a little bit about myself and my journey. So I was born and raised in India, I wasn't a really, I wasn't into studies. So I was a very poor student to even begin with. I can tell you that. I was one of the backbenchers. And then math and science were definitely not my thing. So I think in India, I still remember we had this, subject called moral science, and I used to do the best in that, so I can at least take pride in that. but and then just fast forward, I struggled with mathematics, and I actually did fail my 10th. In 10th grade we have board exams in India, and I did fail that. I still remember that. So I think I was discouraged by my family and teachers and people around me to even think about taking an engineering, degree, or pursuing math or science post my high school. So I think in my head I thought that like how you are conditioned to think in a certain way when you are being told that, oh no, that's not your thing, don't even think about it. So I actually took up the bachelor's in business administration. So that's what I pursued, and with all due respect, I really enjoyed it. Accounting and finance, it does require a lot of math. Then after that, when I was done with my bachelor's, and I was wondering, like, my undergrad degree, like what next for me, what am I, because I think I was very clueless in my life at that time when I was back in India. So I decided that I'm going to just start working, like, and just do something. Like, now you have done your undergrad, you need to do something. So interestingly, I studied finance in my undergrad, but again, I wasn't comfortable with the idea of numbers. I thought I wasn't there with that. So, I just took up some sales jobs, and then just started my journey with selling. And then I used to work with different banks, and with, in India, it's a little different than, how it works in the US. And I still remember the beginning of my career, the hardship that I had to go through, to even, to even like make my basic living. But at least I think one thing which I feel was good about me back then when I was 18, and even today when I don't think I need to share my age. Well, I'm 40 under 40 this year, so I'm less than 40, I can promise you. So back then and even today, I think one thing which has always helped me is um, being very hardworking person. And I think I've always believed in myself. I just believed I'm magical and I can do magic. Sometimes you just have to tell yourself you're magical. You are the unicorn. And I always tell myself I'm the unicorn. uh, doesn't matter. You don't need anybody else to tell you that. You don't need that validation. It took me a long time to accept the fact that you don't need external validation. You just got to love yourself, and you just got to tell yourself how amazing you are. And you know I tell every morning, I tell myself, I'm the queen, and if you believe so, you become one. So I'm just going to tell you that. But anyways, going back to what I was sharing. So yeah, then I worked for a few years in the banking, and I tried to really work at the grassroots level. So I think what's important is laying your foundations very strong, and that's what I focused on. Like laying my foundations very strong, learning how the banking industry works and what products and services they offer. So I really focused. And I still remember that the bank that I used to work at, there wasn't really any cabin for me because I was a field sales executive. So, and don't compare that sales executive to the sales executive that you hear about people here. My first job, full-time job, my monthly salary was $50 a month. So you could imagine what I'm talking about. But what I was going to tell you is that I think my desire and passion to learn from others, I was always observing others. I had this hunger and desire to learn more and more, either through listening, just observing others, and just seeing what they're doing. I think that really helped me develop that kind of skill, and that helped me with the industry knowledge, because I was just following what I was just shadowing a lot of people. I would see what the personal bankers were doing. I would see what the branch managers were doing, what the teller is doing. I was just so curious that I would just observe all of them and learn and take inspiration from them and learn from them, because I didn't know what I want to be in my life. So when you don't know what you want to be in your life, you just learn from different people, and at some point you figure out, okay, maybe my vibes are going in that direction, and that is what I want to be. One of the challenges that I had early when I was in my teen years, and maybe early 20s, was, I think, my difficulty with speaking English. So English is my third language, and I did have good English, and I'm still, and if you feel my grammar is not right, so please bear with me. So I think and my so I think my communication was good, because I think I was able to hold good communication with people, but my English was not in the right place. And I think when I used to work, I was always being told that, oh no, your communication is poor. No, it's because I need to just improve my English. And then, so again, how people condition you, they make you to think that you can do something because there is something lacking in you, but there's something lacking in everybody, right? We are all work in progress. And I would hear that, oh no, you don't have an MBA, you're not going to grow. So I realized that maybe I need to, take a break from my work and maybe pursue MBA. And then, I think that was one of the turning points in my life, and I did, decided to pursue my MBA, and I did it from one of the best business schools in India. Uh, Fast forward, and then I got married and moved to the US. And interestingly, when I came here, I was in a very complex situation. And when I say that, what I mean is I came on a dependent visa. So I pretty much could not work, right? I cannot earn because you're not really on a work visa. You're not a green card holder, not a citizen. Like, what do you do? So had to do something, right? I put all that time in pursuing my MBA. I worked for about 4 years prior to coming to the US. So I had all that work experience. I had my degree. Now, what do I do with that? So, when I came to the US, I lived in Chicago so I would write to all these professors in all these universities, and I would just write them emails after emails and can I volunteer? Can I volunteer as a research assistant? We didn't have the money for me to get a degree in the US. We didn't have that money. Even if I were to get a scholarship, but I didn't know if that would happen, or didn't have that confidence at that point because we were just starting our life here. So fortunately, one of the professors at the University of Chicago did give me, a volunteer research assistant position, and so I started working as a volunteer researcher, and I worked there for about 1.5 years at the University of Houston. I also worked for a risk management company again as a volunteer because I think sometimes we put too much emphasis into money and we forget about the learning and the foundations. I think it's so important in life to have your foundation strong, to invest in yourself, and I feel money will follow. I think if we can, and don't get me wrong when I say that, but I think sometimes people, especially the young people, they get so stuck with the idea of what my compensation is going to look like. I started my career at $50 a month, and I'm fine. I'm doing really well for my life today. My point is that you need to worry less about how much I'm going to make when you're starting your career, but you need to worry more about and focus more into how I can add value, what I can learn, how I can be an expert at something, that I become the go-to person. And I think that's where my focus was. So going back, I worked as a research assistant. I was also doing, volunteer work at a risk management company. And then eventually I did apply for, and then we decided to move to Houston because of my husband's job. And then I applied for a PhD program. Then I got accepted. But the next thing I know, now I'm expecting my first child, and I did have some complications. So I had to drop the idea of pursuing my PhD. So fortunately, at that point, my work visa got sponsored, and when you ask for rain in your life, you got to be ready for mud. So yeah, right. We all love rain, but we can't forget about the mud that the rain brings. So I was expecting my first child, and that's my only child that I have, and I'm so proud of her. Now I had this complications in my pregnancy, and then post my delivery, I was completely bedridden for a few months. At the same time, my work visa got approved, and my clock was ticking from an immigration standpoint. So I could lose my work visa if I don't join, if I don't start working. So I delivered my daughter, and I was extremely sick because of some complications. And my job, I lived in Houston, and my job was in San Antonio. So imagine me taking a three-month-old baby with me and driving every week back and forth from Houston to San Antonio, because this was it. This is all I waited for, that job opportunity, and I just could not let it go. And it was tough. I lived would live in a hotel room with my baby, and because we bought a house which was in Houston, and my husband had a full-time job in Houston, so it was so kind of a complicated situation. So I still remember living in hotel rooms, like different places with my baby, and oh my gosh, like cooking inside that room. And for 3 years, I kept doing that back and forth. But I think it was worth it. That journey, if I think about it, it was worth it. That pain, that stress, it's all. I mean, I never regretted it. If I have to do it all over again, I will do it like many times, because that made me a stronger woman. That made me believed in myself. I learned many things. I learned how to drive, and the first thing I know, I just started driving, and I'm driving from Houston to San Antonio. Like, so yeah, driving with a baby, and with no driving experience at all. So there were a lot of challenges. With all that going on, I knew one thing which was very important is to continue to invest in myself, and which was I started learning for Six Sigma, and then I did my green belt certification, then I did my black belt certification, and then I eventually became a Six Sigma master black belt. And guess what? All those people that at one point told me when I failed my math, when I failed in math in 10th grade, that, oh, math is not your thing, numbers are not your thing. And guess what? That was the thing that made me, made my career in the US. Like the whole statistics, the advanced analytics. That's how I got into that space, starting from Six Sigma. So no degree in the US. Just got excited about what Lean Six Sigma is, started studying it, got that certification, got a job as a process engineer, my first job in the US, my first paid job in the US. Then kept following that. I think one thing that really helped me in my life is I don't chase a million things, but I chase that one thing a million times. I think I've always done that. I have never been after multiple things, but I've always spent multiple days and years into building that one thing where I feel, oh, I can be an expert at it. And that's how I got into the advanced analytics, and then rest, it just kept one after another. Now, one interesting thing that happened in my life was teaching. So I started teaching as an adjunct professor at the University of Houston, and guess what I was teaching? I was teaching a quality improvement and statistics program. Can you imagine failing at math in 10th grade and teaching a stats program at one of the largest universities in the US? So anything can happen in your life. Anything. I mean, if anybody comes and tells you that, no, you can't do this or you can't do that, you need to just take a deep breath, and you need to empower yourself, and you have to believe in yourself, because your own self-talk is more important than the talk you have with others, right? I think the only person that knows you the best is yourself. Nobody knows you better than yourself. You know what works for you. It's like that, when I eat black beans, I know it's going to upset my tummy. It's just like that. You know what works for you. So my only, suggestion or advice or whatever you would say to all of you would be is, just believe in yourself. And I know you must have heard it and read it in several books, but actually it's actually very true. You just got to believe in yourself. And I'm telling you, every day is going to be different. Like today, you must be having a happy day. Tomorrow, it's going to be a crazy bad day. You're going to hate it. But you have to keep going. Like there isn't really any other way. Like you just have to keep going. Yes, you can take breaks, take rest. There will be days when you don't want to do anything. Like just be your lazy self. It's okay. But then stand back up again and then keep going. Don't stop yourself for anybody, or don't let any negative self talk affect how what you want to be in your life. So yeah, so just keep shining and keep believing in yourself.
Thank you so much, Devshree, for wrapping up our day with such a great talk. You are such a clear communicator because I know, and I know you mentioned like your English at one point, but for us listening, your style of communication, your voice is perfect. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
And we're at the end of our day here, so I'm going to sneak an extra minute with you. You have such a great story and kind of way of sharing with us. Is there anything, any kind of final advice that you'd love to share with our audience today? Oh, and we're seeing our final slide come up too. But any final kind of tips? We're wrapping up the day. We've seen all these like amazing talks, and you had such a good journey. But what are your final?
I'm just going to repeat one thing that I said earlier a few minutes ago, that don't chase million things, chase that one thing million times that you truly love.
So well said. Thank you so much for being with us here today as part of our Women Tech Global Awards and community. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah.